Renegade Immortal Episode 77. Go back and tell Hong Dai, even if there's a fight, it will be 10 years later. Who would have thought that an envoy from a 6th-level cultivation nation would almost be crushed to death by Wang Lin with a single slap? As everyone knows, during the CNNI aid mission, after Wang Lin's great battle with the Heavenly Envoy, he went into seclusion to cultivate due to serious injuries. Unexpectedly, at this time, the envoy from the Vermilion Bird Nation suddenly arrived. However, as an envoy from a 6th-level cultivation nation, why would he come to a small nation like Chu? As the Vermilion Bird Nation's envoy flew to a valley, he was suddenly struck by a tremendous force and pushed back dozens of feet. He quickly took out a spirit-stabilizing jade slip. That's right. The valley the Vermilion Bird Nation wanted him to find was this one. However, just as he was about to step forward, he suddenly felt a palpitating pressure attack him. His expression changed drastically, and he quickly retreated. Meanwhile, the old man with the white beard in the distance observed this and carefully examined the depths of the valley. He saw a tall tower standing within, and at the base of the tower, there seemed to be a person sitting. However, that person showed no signs of life and was clearly a dried corpse. The Vermilion Bird Nation's envoy, unwilling to give up, tried several times to approach, but he still couldn't get within 10 miles. Helpless, he could only stand outside the valley and cup his hands, shouting loudly, "This humble one is Feng Yushan of the Vermilion Bird Nation. I request an audience with fellow cultivator Xingnyo." Hearing the name Xingnyo, the old man with the white beard was immediately shocked. His gaze involuntarily fell upon the dried corpse. Because the name Xingnyo, in recent years, not only in the Sea of Devil cultivation, but even throughout the entire Vermilion Bird Star, was like thunder. Therefore, there were countless rumors about him. Some rumors said that he was a secretly cultivated expert of the Vermilion Bird Nation, and perhaps even the heir to the Vermilion Bird title. Otherwise, after Xingnyo severed Hong Dai's arm, why didn't the Vermilion Bird Nation pursue the matter? Others said he was the disciple of some hidden expert whose talent far surpassed Hong Dai's. That's why the Vermilion Bird Nation chose to endure until now. Hearing this, the woman in white beside him suddenly had her eyes light up. She thought to herself, I never thought the widely rumored Xingnyo would actually be here. If she could get Xingnyo's help, she would definitely be able to retrieve her father's remains. Feng Yushan outside the valley shouted again, "Fellow cultivator Xing, my visit this time is not about the matter of you injuring Hong Dai, but to deliver a challenge letter on her behalf. I hope fellow cultivator will come out and meet me." As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of everyone on the cliff varied. However, the valley remained silent. Feng Yushan, as an envoy of the Vermilion Bird Nation, was already feeling humiliated and enraged. After all, everywhere he went, envoys of the Vermilion Bird Nation were highly respected. Even 5th-level cultivation nations were no exception. Fellow cultivator Xing, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Our Vermilion Bird Nation's challenge has never been refused on Vermilion Bird Star. But before he could finish speaking, an invisible giant hand appeared out of thin air and suddenly grabbed Feng Yushan. With the cracking sound of bones being squeezed, cold sweat dripped down Feng Yushan's forehead. The challenge Feng Yushan was to deliver from the Vermilion Bird Nation was for a battle between Hong Dai and Xingnyo in the Vermilion Bird Nation. You go back and tell Hong Dai, even if there's a fight, it will be 10 years later. Wang Lin's response, however, put Feng Yushan in a difficult position. But he could only smile wryly and nod, turning and transforming into a streak of light as he flew away. Upon hearing these words, the old man with the white beard suddenly changed his expression drastically, because this voice sounded familiar to him. Thinking carefully, he glanced at Qiu Siping beside him. But Qiu Siping's eyes were filled with even greater shock. He had clearly guessed something. "Old friend from beyond the valley, please come in." As Wang Lin's words fell, the powerful spiritual pressure within 100 miles slowly dissipated. The old man with the white beard laughed heartily and flashed into the valley. The others followed closely behind. Under the pagoda, the dried corpse slowly raised its head, its eyes flashing with a strange light. Wang Lin stood up and smiled. With a wave of his right hand, his white robes were renewed. "Please have a seat." The old man with the white beard gazed at him and slowly sat down opposite him. Seeing this, the others followed suit and sat down. The old man with the white beard looked at Wang Lin, a wry smile mixed with helplessness on his face. "Oh dear, I don't know whether to address you as fellow cultivator Wang or fellow cultivator Xing. A name is just a name. Why worry too much about it? Why should we care too much?" This little girl was ignorant back then and didn't recognize Senior's true face. "I hope Senior will forgive me." The woman in white spoke softly, her tone apologetic. Because the name Xing Miao was like thunder on Vermilion Bird Star, even the old man with the white beard was moved by it, let alone her. Brother Qiu, abandoning everything, all alone, has the potential to comprehend the heavenly Tao and become a spirit transformation cultivator. How difficult that is. Rumor has it that Brother Wang severed Hong Dai's arm in the Immortal Realm. I wonder, on that trip to the Immortal Realm, did Brother Wang obtain any immortal qi? The greater the harvest, Brother Wang, I, Wu, am willing to pay any price in exchange for a bit of Immortal Realm qi. I hope Brother Wang will grant my request. It's still too early for that. When the day comes for fellow cultivator who to undergo his nirvana tribulation, it won't be too late to consider. Speaking of which, fellow cultivator who, what is your purpose in going to the Xianyi land? What are you seeking? Ha 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 ha. Indeed. When the day of my nirvana tribulation approaches, I will shamelessly come to Brother Wang to ask for it. As for the Xianyi land, fellow cultivator Zixin should explain that. Senior, deep within the Xianyi land lies the reincarnation tree. This junior happens to have a map of that place. Hearing these words, Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged as he continued to sip his tea. However, Qiu Siping's eyes lit up with fervent light. Although the reincarnation tree is wondrous, it is only useful for those at the peak of nascent soul or those entering the spirit transformation stage. For cultivators in the mid-stage of spirit transformation or higher realms, its effect is minimal. This trip is probably for something else, isn't it? Ha ha ha, Brother Wang is truly insightful. I admire you, Hu. Indeed, the true purpose of this trip is for the reincarnation fruit. With Brother Wang's help, the chances of success will greatly increase. Reincarnation fruit. Although Wang Lin's expression didn't change, several images of spiritual fruits surfaced in his mind from Gush and Tu Si's memories. Because these spiritual fruits were extremely beneficial for nourishing a young Gushen. In addition, this reincarnation fruit could also increase the success rate of a spirit transformation cultivator breaking through to nirvana tribulation by 30%. After a moment of silence, Wang Lin slowly said to old Hu, "This matter is of great importance. I need time to consider." "I can't." "I understand. The Xianyi land is indeed dangerous." I also hesitated for a long time before deciding to leave. "All right. We'll wait for you at the entrance to Xianyi land for a month. If you don't come, we'll consider the matter closed." Wang Lin nodded in agreement. Then old Hu, Qiu Siping, and the others got up and bid farewell to Wang Lin. The reincarnation fruit is truly a treasure to me. Obtaining it will surely increase my strength. After a moment of silence, Wang Lin's gaze swept over his storage bag. He took out a severed arm covered in thin ice. Because the Vermilion Bird Nation's actions truly puzzled Wang Lin. Since they didn't pursue Hong Dai, why issue this challenge now? A battle with Hong Dai was inevitable. As long as she hasn't reached nirvana tribulation, I have a way to deal with her. Thinking of this, a cold smile appeared on Wang Lin's lips. He then pointed with his left hand in the air. Instantly, a wisp of spiritual energy, like a living thing, transformed into a basin. He then placed Hong Dai's severed arm inside. As Wang Lin made hand seals, a dark, gloomy light emerged from his palm. At the same time, two small, crystal-clear white jade bottles appeared. Wang Lin flicked his finger, and the blood-like, crimson liquid within the bottles spilled out, fusing with the severed arm. Then, with a flicker in his eyes, Wang Lin made hand seals again. A gruesome skull projection fell onto the severed arm. However, this was just the beginning. After repeating the same process 99 times, the color of the severed arm changed from its original white to a dark red, and it emitted a nauseating, fishy stench. Just how powerful is Wang Lin's backing? How could he make the Vermilion Bird Country repeatedly come forward to protect him? Continuing from the last episode, as everyone knows, during the Immortal's assistance, Hong Dai, as a core disciple of the Vermilion Bird Country, while interacting with the Immortal Realm, had his arm severed by Wang Lin under the alias Xingniu. However, not only did the Vermilion Bird Country not stand up for him, but they also issued an order to stop the search for Xingniu. Can Hong Dai avenge the loss of his arm? Inside the Vermilion Bird Country, Hong Dai, meditating with his eyes closed, slowly opened his eyes. However, every time he saw the empty sleeve on his right arm, Hong Dai's killing intent towards Xingniu intensified. But due to the Vermilion Bird Mountain's order forbidding anyone from troubling Xingniu, how could Hong Dai have endured until now? Yet now, with the issuance of the Vermilion Bird Mountain's third order, that both parties meet at the Vermilion Bird Country's post station, just as Hong Dai thought he could finally avenge the loss of his arm, the following news nearly made him furious. It almost drove him mad. The news, brought back by Feng Yushan, was that Xingniu agreed to the fight, but he had one condition: to wait for him for 10 years. Yet, even with such an unreasonable request, the Vermilion Bird Mountain actually agreed. Upon hearing this news, everyone started speculating just who this Xingniu was. How could he make the Vermilion Bird Mountain intervene 3 times? Wang Lin sat in the valley, a gray beast ring on his right hand. Suddenly, Lei Hua materialized from within it. Lei Hua looked at Wang Lin with gratitude in his eyes, because if it weren't for Wang Lin's help, he would have surely died. Lei Hua, I'm going to reclaim the beast ring. If you're willing, you can follow me from now on. If not, you can leave on your own. Lei Hua nodded slightly. Okay. From today onwards, I will treat you like Wen Shou. Wang Lin smiled faintly and walked straight towards the pagoda. On the top floor of the pagoda, a woman in white lay on an immortal bed. Beside her lay 2 immortal swords, one large and one small. Because the immortal burial ground is extremely dangerous and magical treasures are scarce, Wang Lin wanted to borrow the immortal swords. However, because the immortal sword spirits had gone to chase Ling Tianho with Zhou Yi, these 2 swords had no sword spirits. But to use them, a sword spirit was needed. Thinking of this, Wang Lin patted his storage bag. Su Ligua. Immediately, a black light flew out from the storage bag. I'm finally out. Before Su Ligua could react, Wang Lin grabbed him and threw him into the immortal sword. Having done this, Wang Lin's figure flashed and he disappeared. Back in Xinghua village, at Old Zhou's house, a middle-aged woman held a baby girl in her arms, her eyes full of love. After the baby fell asleep, the woman got up and went to the kitchen to prepare dinner. However, shortly after the woman left, a figure quietly appeared in the room. He looked at the baby girl, his eyes full of tenderness. His right hand trembled as he gently caressed the baby's tender cheek. Bauer. The baby girl's bright eyes looked curiously at Wang Lin. The reincarnation had made her forget everything from the past, but some emotions, even with blurred memories, were forever etched in her heart. The baby girl's eyes gradually became confused, a crystal-clear tear quietly sliding down her cheek. Wang Lin's heart was deeply touched. He gazed at the baby girl for a long time, as if time had stopped. Finally, he took one last deep look at the baby girl and softly promised, I'll come back for you. With Wang Lin's departure, the baby girl's eyes teared up again and she started crying. Meanwhile, Taiyan sat in the depths of his cave. Over the past year, he had gradually adapted to this almost play-acting life. 6 months ago, Lu Fei had once suggested ascending through voice transmission, but Taiyan politely declined. Since embarking on the path of cultivation, Taiyan had never had such profound insights. Day after day, he spread his divine sense throughout the village, remembering every household and every person. This insight was both strange and intoxicating, so much so that in recent months, he had almost given up meditating and instead immersed himself in the everyday life of mortals. Just then, Wang Lin entered the cave and fixed his gaze on Taiyan. The latter quickly stood up and responded, "Not bad. If you can maintain this insight, reaching nascent soul is just around the corner." Wang Lin turned and disappeared, leaving Taiyan stunned. Elsewhere, Wang Lin was riding Wenshou towards the immortal burial ground. The cycle of reincarnation continues. Please like and subscribe. We'll continue in the next episode.